Hello and welcome to Dice and Demons. I'm Emma, and in this video I'm going to try to explain how I choose which colors to use on a project. This is a question I've been asked a number of times by a lot of different people who are wondering, well, how do you choose these colors? Because some of my color schemes are probably a little bit unusual. And I'm afraid that the honest answer is I don't really know. I don't have any formal art education or anything. I don't tend to think much about color theory when I'm choosing my colors. But of course, I'm not just randomly chucking colors at a model and hoping that it'll look great at the end. So I do have some things that I consider when choosing the colors, but I haven't been too conscious about the whole process actually. So I will try to explain as best I can in this video, and I will probably leave a lot out, and hopefully you will ask me a lot of questions so that I can make a how to choose your colors video volume 2, which will hopefully be even better and more well prepared. So when I'm choosing colors for my models, I usually start out, of course, by looking at the actual model and then trying to figure out what kind of color I would like the very best on this particular model. So by that I mean that I will go with, for instance, if I'm thinking about painting an orc, I will have decided, okay, I want the orc to be green. And then I'll be looking at, okay, what colors would go well with green? Or I will be painting a robot and thinking, okay, what kind of color would be cool? I want to go with pink, or I want to go with red or something. So I'll usually start out with just one central color that I want to use, and then I will try to find other colors that I think somehow match the first color I chose. And my process is actually that I just start out by having a primed model, and then I put the first color I chose on that model, and then I go from there. I haven't done anything prior to that. I haven't done any sketches on a piece of paper. I haven't used any sort of software or apps or anything. And I haven't even pictured in my mind what it's going to look like when it's done, because I'm not really able to make detailed images in my mind. I can only, at the best of times, conjure up sort of fuzzy images of, if you close your eyes and you imagine an apple, I can't see an apple. I'll just get sort of fuzzy feeling of something that's vaguely round and perhaps green or red. So I can't picture the model in my head, so I'll just have to make it up as I go along. But there are certain colors that I like more than others, and I will try to explain here how I think certain colors work together. And I just have a piece of paper in front of me and a pencil and a brush, and then some of my colors, and I'll try to show what kind of colors I think work well together, and which colors I'm not as fond of, or that I think at least require more work. So I hope this will make some sense to you, and that'll be at least a little bit helpful. So first off, if we're going to let's say we were going to just look at the three primary colors we have. We have red, we have yellow, we have blue, and I think they are always a good place to start when you are thinking about painting a model. So if you have the red color here, and you have your yellow, and you have your blue. So I like to think of these three colors as friendly colors, and I know it sounds a bit weird, but hear me out before you judge me too much. So for me, friendly colors are colors that you can use on a bunch of projects and that require little assistance to work with other colors. Other friendly colors are green, because green is also really easy to work with in my mind. It can also work with a lot of other colors. And white and black, silver and gold. So I have some silver here. I think silver, didn't shake it properly, but properly. There you go, some silver and some gold. And these colors work well with almost any other colors. I would say if you're just going to do a basic color scheme, you could almost mix and match each of these colors like in pairs of 2, and all of them would work pretty well together. Perhaps except for yellow and gold, because they are so closely related. Other colors require a bit more work. I think of them as arrogant colors. It doesn't really make sense, but I like to think of them as arrogant colors nonetheless. One of the most arrogant colors I know is purple, because purple does not play nice with other colors. Purple is an arrogant color because it doesn't really like other colors, or if you are going to be using it with other colors, you need to put a lot of effort in to make it work. Color I really like, as you've probably noticed if you've been following my videos, is turquoise. I also think turquoise is a pretty friendly color, not as friendly as the 3 primary colors, but almost. Very friendly color. Another color that I like a lot, but which is also a little bit arrogant, is pink, because pink can work really well, but it also doesn't play too nice with other colors. You need to do a bit of work to make it work with other colors, I think. So these are some of the colors I use often and like the best. And when I'm choosing a color scheme, I will also often think about, well, what do I want to achieve with this color scheme? Do I want something that looks calm, nice, pretty, or do I want something that is a little bit more loud, a little bit more messy, but perhaps also a little bit more filled with energy? By that I mean something that sort of colors that are closely related. The more closely related they are, the calmer the color scheme will be, but perhaps also sometimes you will miss out a bit on the energy. So let's say, for instance, colors that are closely related, in my mind at least, are blue and green. So if you put blue and green next to each other, it works really well. If you did a model blue and green, with darker shades of green and darker shades of blue and highlights of lighter blue and lighter green, and then perhaps a gold or a silver, that would work well. And you wouldn't find a lot of people who would really hate that color scheme, because it just works really well together. Another color scheme that always works well is something like a black and red and gold. Black, red and gold, always a nice color scheme. Most people will like this color scheme a lot. Another color scheme that always works really well is blue and gold. You'll, for instance, see it with the primary Space Marines, the classic blue and gold. So these kinds of color schemes, in my mind, are easygoing. They're friendly, they're nice, they're calm. Everyone can look at it and no one will say, that hurts my eyes. And there's nothing wrong with it, but sometimes, to me at least, it gets a little bit too safe, if that's a word to use about a color scheme for painting miniatures. So it's not really loud. There is no shouting. There is no. Sometimes it gets too calm. There's not a lot of energy in it. But let's say, for instance, you put. If you put orange next to turquoise, that's not great. It's not nearly as calm and easygoing as the black and red and gold, for instance. However, you can actually make it work, but it requires that you make an effort. It requires that you put a lot more thought into how you do both your shades and your highlights. So if you are going to be highlighting, let's say you highlight the turquoise up to white, and you highlight the orange up to a yellow. and let's say you shade the turquoise into a blue and the orange into a brown or red, I think you can actually make it work. You can also highlight the orange up to a yellow and then to a white. But then if you do it next to the turquoise, then you will they will almost be competing for the same highlight, so I probably wouldn't do that. I would probably highlight the orange just up to a yellow and stop there, and then the lighter turquoise here up to a white, so that you would use a warm highlight, like a wraith bone, for instance, like a very pale beige, but still a warm light tone for the warm color, and then I would use pure white, which is a cool tone, for the cool turquoise and blue colors. I tend to highlight warm colors with paler versions of the same warm color, and highlight cold or cool colors with paler versions of that as well. You could probably do something else, but that would again make the color scheme even more loud or even more messy, which would require more work. I would say that the more you go with a quiet color scheme, the less careful you have to be about how you highlight and shade it, and the more you go with something that's a bit messy, and the more careful you have to be to make sure that it doesn't just end up looking like something that is just weird just to be weird. There's nothing wrong with a weird color scheme if you intend it to be weird, but if you just chuck a bunch of colors on it and haven't perhaps thought much about exactly what you want to achieve, sometimes it just looks messy, and that's it. I don't mind a messy look if it's on purpose, but if it's not on purpose, it's just at least not very much to my liking. Safe, nice, quiet color schemes, and I'm not saying this to be disparaging, because I really think that some of these classic safe color schemes, they work really well, and that's the reason why they are classics, you know. There's nothing wrong with them, and I just a couple of days ago painted a Primaris captain in red, black and gold. So it's not that I don't use these colors at all, because I do, and I enjoy working with them because they work so well. You know from the beginning of your painting process that you are going to end up with something that will look really, really cool and really nice. Whereas when you start experimenting with more of these arrogant colors, you don't really know what you're gonna get. One of the colors that I find hardest to work with, as I said earlier, is the purple. I don't really know how to get it to play nice, but I have a project coming up where I'll be using purple, and I'm thinking about doing something that's not quite a safe color scheme, but also not quite as crazy as you could go, because I think that is what is needed when you work with purple. So I'm thinking about turquoise, and I'm thinking about pink, and I think I will be highlighting the pink with a very pale pink, and I'll be highlighting the turquoise with white, and then I will be highlighting the purple with a lighter shade of blue, perhaps, to tie it together with the turquoise. But I'm not quite sure. But I think these three colors together could be friendly if you put a bit of effort into the shades and the highlights. But perhaps it'll just look awful, and I will have to strip the whole thing and start over. That's the beautiful thing about painting models, after all. You can always just strip them and try again. It's not like you have ruined something for good if it turns out you just really, really hate your color scheme. So I know this is probably a little bit messy, this explanation, because as I said, I don't really have any formal art education or theoretical knowledge. I just really, really tend to go with the flow when I'm painting. So I'll just start out with one of these colors, and then I will work out what I think will look nice next to it. I tend to go, let's say if I go for a color scheme of 3 different colors, 3 different main colors, I will usually go for 2 that are relatively close, let's say yellow and red, and then one that's a bit more loud compared to the other two. So let's say yellow, red, and turquoise, for instance. Or I could go with a blue, a turquoise, and an orange, or something like that. I would probably not go with something like purple, blue, and orange. That would definitely make it harder to get to work, because I think both the orange and the yellow are difficult colors. I'm not saying that it couldn't be done, and hopefully someone in the comments will post a link showing exactly how it could be done, and you know, to a really high standard, and make me want to paint nothing but blue, orange, and purple. I haven't tried that particular color scheme yet, but it might be a challenge for later. So I hope this was somehow useful or helpful, and if it wasn't, I'm sorry. If it was, you're welcome. But if you have any questions or any comments or anything that might be useful for me or for other people watching this video, please leave them in the comment section below. I think working out a color scheme is one of the most fascinating, but also one of the most anxiety-ridden parts of the whole miniature hobby, because if you really mess it up and you have spent, I don't know, 80 hours painting your first your first 30 Necron warriors, and you just really hate it, it's a really big project, having to strip them and start over again, and it might just turn you off from the whole army because you don't want to spend that amount of time redoing the whole thing. I think that was what I wanted to show you in this video. So again, leave a comment, tell me what you are planning on painting next and how you choose your color schemes. I would be really interested to hear about that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.